Welcome back to the Physique Academy podcast. As you may notice, it's a little bit of a change today. I'm in the main hot seat and we've got the usual host, Ash, who's going to be answering some questions. How you doing, brother?
I'm not too bad, mate. Not too bad. It's a little bit different, unique being on this side of the table, the guest side of the table. Looking forward to it, mate. It's a bit of a change up.
Yeah, man. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through the motions. We're going to kind of start with a little bit of backstory, maybe go into a little bit more of personal topics, and then just finish off with some personal aspirations and then some Q&A, if that's cool.
Yeah, sounds good, bro. This was requested a few times, so it was organised, for like dates and stuff that we'd, do like one on my sort of story, I guess. But yeah, let's see what you want to know, bro.
Let's go for it, man. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think to start off, it would be cool. I don't actually even know this, to be fair, like how you were approached by George. I know I went over myself and my topic last time, but I actually don't know what the original story was. What happened with George and obviously joining Physique?
So I knew George for a long time from his time at David Lloyd. That's when he first started as a personal trainer locally. He was only like 17. And I would have been like 14 or 15, and I just started to go into the gym, training. And I remember seeing him, I remember seeing vividly like an Instagram post of like a back profile. He was just like flexing his back. I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy is massive for his age. And that was like one of my earlier inspirations alongside like other people like my dad and my granddad. But I just started to sort of follow him, get to know him a little bit in David Lloyd. And then we just sort of kept in touch. When he left David Lloyd, he went to work at a local gym in Chorley. And around that time, I just turned 17 and I'd just passed my PT qualification. So I then went to do like the interview process at David Lloyd. And I actually remember messaging him and was like, because I knew he'd been a PT at David Lloyd. I was like, what's the interview process look like? And he actually gave me some tips on like how to approach the interview, what they take you through, down on the gym floor and just stuff like that. Gave me a little bit of advice. So like sort of in a way, I've like always sort of followed in his path in a way. I always knew that I wanted to be a personal trainer at a very young age, like 14, 15 when I first got into the gym. But yeah, once I started working at David Lloyd, we just got a few sessions and he'd come to David Lloyd once or twice. I went over to XFit. And that was around like 2018, whilst he was at XFit, he started Physique Academy with another lad initially at the time. What was his name? Jack Worthington. Just followed the Physique Academy journey. Then lockdown hit, that's when it really started to blow up more, like when you got involved, Harry got involved. And that was when I started like experimenting with online coaching myself. So eventually, just saw the potential. He saw the potential in me, I suppose. And then I reached out to him after I'd done like a year in the fitness manager role. And he was just like, yeah, whenever you're ready. And about 6 months later, I hopped on.
That's the thing, like I think, because I first met you at the Christmas do initially when you were first going on board. 2022. Yeah. And I recognised that I knew of you, but I didn't actually like know you as such. But obviously, I think as well from like a young age, you'd always, obviously I know you would have worked hard. I think genetically as well, you just always had quite a big frame. And at the age of like, if you ever see pictures of him at 16, like mate, it's mental. He looks like the body of a 30-year-old.
Yeah, I remember you saying that on Instagram.
It's crazy. So I think as well, like having so much experience from a young age, because you were on the gym floor PT, you went into a managerial role as well.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of standed you in good stead coming into Physique, or even now within your role? And if so, kind of what do you think it's allowed you to do, or rather kind of do you think you've kind of been able to adapt to the role quite quickly?
Yeah, I think, experience for me, I think outweighs knowledge. It's easy to learn how to do training programs, how to do diet plans. Like I mentioned on another podcast, that's the easy part of coaching. I think the more you work with people, the more you can start to understand, different characters and ultimately like what people need, what sort of approach is going to work better for them. And you're not always going to get it right. You are going to sort of fall and fail and make mistakes, but you're always learning, you're always growing. And I think for me, I think it just helped me helped me become a better coach ultimately after years of experience. When I first started one-to-one on the gym floor, I was quite young and naive, and being thrown into that sort of spotlight of coaching, especially like the demographic at David Lloyd, it's a lot of like older women and older men, and at that age you're not really comfortable talking to, it's like speaking to like a high school teacher, like trying to sort of get on a one-to-one level with them and have like that common ground can be quite difficult, at a young age. So that was something that I slowly, again, just through repetition started to adapt to. And that's why now, like a lot of the guys that I get decent transformations with are like the guys that are like 40s, 50s, that's just like my niche, bro.
Honestly,
now these days.
Because we're going to say, like, obviously I oversee what comes through. Obviously everyone does, but it's evident that you do actually work well with those guys. I'm not saying you don't work well with the younger guys, because of course you do as well, but I think what will naturally happen is if we see that you work better with those type of clients, those are the clients that we're going to kind of pair you up with, if that makes sense. And whenever I've trained with you, or when I've trained with you at David Lloyd, I've seen that those type of clients come over to you and say, "Oh, hi Ash, how you doing?" Because evidently you've trained them before, And I think, like, if George had never come up to you, I don't know if you kind of answered this already, but what do you think you would actually be doing? Do you think it would be something in a similar field, or because I like, for a lot of people probably won't know, is you actually did have your own clothing brand at one point. Like, I was super impressed. I didn't have a clue about that, and then when you told me, obviously it was pretty successful from what you tell me.
I think at the time I was just looking to experiment with different things. I went to university. Well, for sort of the whole backstory is I started as a lifeguard. Whilst I was at college, trained to do my level 2, level 3 PT on weekends, like part time, like every single week. It was just like Monday to Friday college. Weekends I'd do my PT qualification. And then after doing like that for a few years, and I went to Lancaster University to do my undergrad in sports science. I just started to sort of engage with other industries, really, and that's sort of how I got into the clothing. I think for me, I always just wanted to have different things going on. Like I get too caught up in the mundane sort of the boringness, the repetition of just doing one thing. I like variety. Like when I was at David Lloyd and I had the fitness manager role, I was doing like group exercise classes, I was studying PT, and then I was like overseeing the PTs, and then I started like my own clothing brand. And the thing is, I'm not someone that really lives with regret as such, but I think I've maybe bit off a lot more than I could chew at the time, because I was in my last year at university. I was doing my dissertation, research projects. I was like literally waking up at 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning to go and teach like group exercise classes till 8. And then I'd have to drive all the way over, which is about 45, 50 minutes to Lancaster, do like a full day there, and then go back in the evening till like 10, 11 o'clock. And then starting a clothing brand alongside that was just like, it was just very overwhelming and quite stressful at the time. But to answer your original question, do I think I'll be doing something different? No, I think everything happens for a reason. And I think I was always destined to be just be a coach in general. And I think, the fact that we've got like the mental health side of things as well, and coaching only specifically men, I think, it's just like the stars aligned, and it was sort of my calling, what I was meant to do.
Yeah, I think kind of touching now on Physique, I think we can all agree it's a high level coaching company. We go over this consistently throughout the time, team meetings, one-to-ones, and we've also got such a huge focus on mental health. What do you think it is about your approach and your core values that aligns with that?
So say the question again. What is it?
So what do you think it is about? Because obviously Physique is a huge advocate for mental health.
Yeah.
Why do you feel you work well with Physique? Because you've evidently taken to it really, really well. I know you outside of work. I know you're a caring person. You always think about other people yourself. Why do you feel it is you work particularly well with these type of clients?
Because I feel like I can relate to them a lot. As a man, I feel like I've been through a lot of what typically guys go through, that self-doubt, external pressures, self-pity sometimes, self-loathing. I've been through those sort of phases, and I've been through like my own mental health struggles. I'd say I'm quite an optimistic person. You know, I've always got quite a lot of optimism, and you know, since a young age, I was brought up to sort of hide a lot of emotions. So for me, I'd like to try and, you know, really see the guys that I work with as more mates, friends, rather than just like working acquaintances. It's not just like a transactional relationship, to allow them to start to open up a little bit more and draw those sort of things out of them, because a lot of guys typically are just a closed book completely.
I think as well, like with that, it's all about like emotional intelligence, and we talk about this a lot, I think, as well. But something that I feel I've noticed working with yourself is you've got a lot of empathy, and you always see the good in everyone, no matter what. Even when someone might get a little bit frustrated, you've always kind of seen, okay, why would they potentially be frustrated? Okay, let's talk about that potentially. And I think that's always stood you in good stead. Whereas from the surface level view, you might look at that and think, I'm going to kind of retaliate to that. Whereas you kind of take a step back, look at it, and then you talk about that. And I think that's why you also develop these good relationship with clients and get clients staying on board for years plus, you know.
And yeah, when you're talking about empathy and stuff, it's not like soft snowflake empathy. It's like it's empathy, like in the sense that I understand, but you know, we can keep moving forwards. There is a way that we can keep moving forwards. Yeah,
like as well, because it's about not getting that misconstrued with being soft. You know, you can still be tough but show empathy. You know, it just means you're aware of what's going on and understanding as to potential people's frustrations, but you can still have that dog inside of him. Do you know what I mean, bro?
Yeah.
Like, so no, I think you've clearly shown that, and I think, you know, within your first year at Physique, I believe you were the first coach to hit their targets. And what do you think it is that allowed you to do that? Because they're not easy to achieve. You've got to, you know, the goal is to hit a certain amount of transformations, get good feedback, retention, and you pass out with flying colours. What do you think it is about your approach that allowed you to do that?
Again, just empathising with the individual, understanding their background, you know, and again, meeting them where they're at, but letting them know that that's not always where they will stay at as well, you know, especially in the beginning stages. You know, like the goal is to really embed it as part of someone's lifestyle and identity. And, you know, I always say the longer, more sustainable journeys are always the better ones, because they're learning more about themselves habitually. So once they get to that point, a transformation is inevitable, because they've built up a level of just mental resilience, consistency and discipline to, you know, to keep progressing.
And it's like, just to kind of touch on what you're saying then and before, it's not a case of what you learn in books. Like, that's almost the easy part. Like, I've genuinely come to understanding that now clients are almost like investing in yourself because of what you've gone through, the knowledge you've gained from your personal experiences. And you've been training for, how long have you been training for? Like now, like 8+ years, probably?
No, probably longer, 10 years,
exactly. 10 years at such a young age. I think that just shows that there's a level of consistency, that you've created a habitual routine. What is a key to motivation in order to train for 10+ years? And I've no doubt you continue to train for the foreseeable. What do you think the key is to that motivation?
I think it's the mental benefit, you know, the mental aspects over the physical. I think if you just fixate yourself on body weight, on, you know, how you're looking, it's quite superficial, isn't it? You know, you're not really internally developing. And I think for me, consistency or motivation and keeping that up over the years, it's just a case of doing it for other reasons outside of just the way I look. Of course, you know, we all want to look good and we all want to be in shape, but for like the mental health side of things, I think it just keeps you in good stead. You know, energy creates energy. If you're moving each day, you know, and you're getting a good workout in, you're having that sort of serotonin, that dopamine release, you know, you're just going to feel much better within yourself, and you're going to feel more accomplished, like you've actually achieved something in your day. Do you know what I mean?
It's a little bit more complex, isn't it, than just the physique side of things. I think when you start off, you do think, it's about looking a certain way. And then you realise, like, later on down the line, looking that certain way makes you feel a certain way. Going to the gym, getting rid of the energy makes you feel a certain way. And it becomes a little bit more complex. And then it's like, now, the most difficult part for any client's journey is the start. I truly believe that. And then once you build that habitual routine, it becomes easy, and you almost think like, how, like, I would not want to eat takeaways like every single night. Like, people do, bro. People do eat takeaways like 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week. And people don't train. People finish work and they go to the pub and they get the beer. And it's like, I think every single day, if you did that, you're going to notice a deterioration in your mental health. Like, we've all gone nights out, and how shit do you feel the next day?
Yeah, I mean, I've been through that as well. When Kai died, one of like my close childhood mates, like just sort of went into that spiral, getting self-pity, self-loathing, and yeah, you do just you can actually see in the moment, like I was going through it, and I could feel within myself that it wasn't what I should be doing. You know, it was just making me feel so much worse, and I just sort of, but you kind of just get sort of caught in a cycle because, well, they say, you know, it's easy to get into bad habits, you know, hard to get into good habits for a reason. So coming out of that for a lot of people can be difficult because it's easy for them. It's easy just to grab a beer and just to sort of have that sort of like numbness for a few hours and just sort of let the tension and the stress ease off, rather than go and like put your body through pain, because people just associate that with more pain in a way, you know, or more stress on the body. You know, they're feeling stressed mentally, they see it as putting more stress on them physically. A lot of people just can't grasp that that other side to it, you know, that we see, that we experience.
So like you do think it's obviously you've been there yourself, it's a mask. Do you think it is just a mask to kind of almost have like a break of, like you said, those 3 or 4 hours away from reality at that time?
Yeah, 100%. You know, it is. That's literally what it is. You know, people don't like often the taste of drink. They like how it makes them feel. Yeah. You know, like I like a beer, right? You know, I don't mind a beer. I like a beer Moretti. It can bloat me out a little bit, but if I do have a drink, why are you laughing?
Bro, it's the way you would like beer, like, oh.
A lot of people don't, especially like coaches, like want to go, I want a gin and tonic. I want a gin and tonic. But for me, like I don't particularly like the taste of beer. Really, I don't mind it, but if I have one, it's more just for the way it can make you feel for a few hours.
Yeah, I can get that. I think, for me, I've never been alcohol drinkers. Like when you say to someone, "Oh, what's your favorite drink?" and they say, "Oh, like vodka and coke," like, no, it ain't, bro.
No, yeah, it
ain't.
When you're younger and you're going in that out, that's like the stuff that you get to when you're not even tasting drinks anymore.
Yeah. It's like, what's your favourite drink? My favourite drink is an orange juice or like just water. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to impress no one.
One of my mates, Rowan, you know Rowan, he always says, you know, like he can't just go out for like 1 or 2, because a lot of people, because of for the feeling aspect of it, they drink just to get pissed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was in that mindset. I think a lot of guys are in that mindset, to be fair. But yeah, just kind of touching back to clients as well, because we were on about, how do you stay motivated for this long? What do you think the 3 most common barriers are when it comes to training clients that you've found over the numerous years you've been a coach?
Barriers is self-belief. Okay. I'd say that's the main thing. A lot of people, you know, they start a journey like this, but they just don't believe in themselves. They think it's going to be too overwhelming for them, or like I think social media doesn't help, because they see people on like Instagram that are like doing all these like CrossFit workouts, training like 5-6 days a week, and people see that as what their reality should be. So like if they may be, you know, only able to commit to like 3 or 4 sessions a week, people sort of put themselves down and think, you know, it's either going to take longer or they simply just won't be able to do it, or won't be able to get in as good shape as someone that they might see that can train like 5-6 days a week. You know, again, it's going to be more sustainable. The next thing is for someone that, sorry, the question was for barriers. Yeah, barriers. I think consistency, really. If someone, you know, like drops 1 day of training throughout the week, you know, they just sort of get caught in that yo-yo, that loop, that cycle of returning to old habits, because, you know, they see it as like they've failed. And again, there's a quote from Nelson Mandela that says, that he said, "I never lose, I either win or I learn." So, you know, it's throughout the process, you know, like we don't see it as failure, especially as coaches. You know, it's not like you're not going to get a massive kick up the arse. We're not going to give clients shit if they fall once. You know, it's lessons learned. I had a call with a client just yesterday for about half an hour, and went into a lot of detail around his nutrition and like managing like off-plan socials. And then he asked a lot of questions and was like, you know, and he was comparing himself to other people, you know, comparing yourself to other clients on the program and saying, you know, where would you gauge I am in comparison to other people that you work with? And I said, no, mate, you know, you're on your own journey, and you know, over the last few weeks you have stagnated a little bit, you plateaued a little bit because he wasn't managing like weddings on the weekends, or like banking enough calories or prepping and organising enough in advance for it. But I said, it doesn't mean, you know, you're failing, or, you know, you're not still progressing, because you're learning about yourself throughout this process. You know, you're learning how to better manage it, and this is why we go over it on the calls that we have with clients. So yeah, I'd say those are the biggest barriers, I think.
Yeah,
guys.
I think the compare yourself to others is a big thing at the minute, because think about like back in the day, yeah, when there's like no social media, you would not know outside of your kind of vicinity as such. You know, you would not know outside of, you would not know loads of people from different areas, and you're achieving your goals. Like, you're so happy within yourself, but now you can be so happy within yourself, but you see all these guys online and you feel they've got a better physique than you feel that, you know, they've got a quicker high rocks time or a quicker marathon, whatever it is.
It's easy to put yourself down for me.
Big time.
You end up holding yourself back, because then you if like say like someone is better than you at something at an elite level, you think automatically by like you're shit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People compare themselves to like elite level athletes now because it's all over social media, and it's great to use that as inspiration. But you can't think, oh, I'm not there, because it's completely different. They might have been doing this for years and years and years and years, or they might train 3 times a day every single day. They might have the whole team around them. So it's difficult because people do compare to themselves. But if you can run a 5K, no matter what time, if you can complete high rocks, if you go to the gym 4 days a week, like you're in a good percentage of people that are actually fit. You know what I mean? You're actually in that percentage. And I always think, if like you see someone, they complete high rocks and it might not be in the quickest time, but they've completed high rocks, like it's a tough feat to do, and go to the gym habitually 4 days a week, even though you might not be as big as these guys you see in social media, it's still something that you should be proud of, you know? Yeah,
just by the fact of completing it, because it's something that a lot of people just won't have the courage to do in the first place, or commit themselves to. But yeah, like comparison is the thief of joy, brother.
Nice man. Philosophical. So yeah, moving on to kind of the training styles. I think since I've been training with you, you've obviously done like dabbled in high rocks, running, conditioning, but I think right now I feel like it's maybe bodybuilding you kind of orientate to a little bit, correct me if I'm wrong. And I think at the end of the day, we do get more clients coming on board that are might be trying to do endurance-based activities, but for yourself, and I think you'd agree, the bread and butter is always the body recomp. It's about losing body fat, gaining muscle mass. What do you think the best tips for someone looking to achieve this type of goal are?
Not overtraining, for one. That's a big mistake that I made, isn't it? I was doing like a run and a hypertrophy session each day, and you know, if you have come from a hypertrophy background, you just end up wearing yourself thin. That's when more injuries started to creep in, because I was committing myself to too much. I was doing too much volume, and then, you know, trying to progress my running. It's like you sort of have to try and create the right balance, and that might just mean making some uncomfortable sacrifices, you know, like, because I'd always done, like, when I first started training, I'd always done like a bro split, different muscle group each day, and just focused solely on resistance training. That then went into and transitioned into like push-pull legs later on down the line. But then when you're looking at like your volume and you're trying to get in your runs as well, like 3 full body sessions probably would have been better.
Yeah.
For your volume across the week, alongside getting your runs in. So big one is not overtraining, and just trying to manage your overall volume as best as you can.
What about for the people that do want to do running and things like that, because that's very common as well. Like, to be honest, that's very, very common where people are wanting to do. I'm not talking about like wanting to do cardio 7 times a week to train for a particular event. I'm just on about to keep generally fit. They enjoy that aspect of training.
So like still able to build muscle again, have that body recomp,
exactly.
Just eat a little bit more, like still be in a smaller deficit, but with like the nutrition, just keep the calories on the higher end. I had a transformation that I posted the other day.
That was a very good transformation.
Yeah, it looks jacked, doesn't he?
Yeah,
like,
mate,
completely different.
He only lost like what, 15 pounds as well.
It was like 7 kilos, 7.2.
Yeah, which you know, it's amazing. It's amazing weight to lose. But we've worked with clients. You know, you've worked with clients that have lost 20, 25. Potentially 30 kilos. So in retrospect, like 7 kilos doesn't seem a lot, but the
time frame is important as well, because this wasn't like 7 kilos in 8 weeks. This was 7 kilos over 5 months. And, you know, he's only just coming into the second phase now. And this was a guy that was pretty consistent, Reece Walker, if he's watching. Very, very, very consistent with his training. But what we focused a lot mainly on is resistance training. And he actually started to get into a little bit of running, but it's all the numbers game. It's about crunching the numbers. You know, if you're eating in too much of a deficit, then you may potentially have some level of atrophy. You know, if you're not getting enough protein, if you're not feeding your body in the right way.
I think nutrition's huge, isn't it? Nutrition, I think, like, it's not just about calories, not just a calorie. You've got to think of, okay, what carbs am I having? What protein am I having? Like, is it whole foods? Is it good quality protein source? And obviously the macro split. It's all crucial, but yeah, that transformation is so impressive, and I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to point, this is a transformation up here. If they can edit it,
give me Jake extra work.
If not, I look an idiot.
And I want to put a video of me training here. No, I'm only joking, mate.
That would be cool though. If
sorry, just touching on the last point on that as well. With like this guy, he travelled a lot as well, and a lot of people when we talked about this morning on the morning meeting. One thing that Chris said that works really well for guys, especially with nutrition, is like, because people overcomplicate it when they go to eat out at restaurants. You know, like it's always good to have a gauge of what the right sort of options are, and you know, like for restaurants to make their food tasty, they might put like additional sauces, oils, butters in the meal, so you do have to like guesstimate. But as long as you know it's a lean source protein, a form of complex carb, and a form of veg, and the way Chris that he approaches it with his guys is, it's like, what was it, a fist of protein, 2 fists of veg, a part of 2 fists of veg and 1 palm of rice or quinoa or potatoes or whatever. It was along that sort of region, and if you just sort of stick to those principles, you can't really go too far wrong. You know,
it's like, that's why I'm saying like social should never, but when I say socials, I mean like restaurants eating out should never be feared. Like we'd gone past the days of the stone age of eating out of Tupperwares wherever we go. Like, no one wants to do that shit anymore. It's about making sensible choices when you're out. And like I said this morning on the meeting, if you're going out and you're eating a burger or pizza, like, you're not taking yourself seriously. And I won't take you seriously if you're doing that. Like, it's no excuse to be doing that just because you're going out for a meal. You don't have to eat pizza or burger all the time.
That's the thing. People a lot of people associate just going out for meals with, it has to be a burger, it has to be a pizza.
Exactly.
And like, you actually, you brought this up to me. I think it was George that brought it up to you. Chester's. So like, when you go past the Chester's takeaway, you associate that with like fried chicken, chips.
Way. Is that you that brought it up?
No, so I think you told me that George had put you onto it, and then you put me onto it.
Okay.
So
cool.
like, there is actually some good options you can get from Chester's takeaway. But like, if you actually like, you have to sort of really analyze the menu, because it might be hidden. But like, it just goes to show, even at like takeaways like that you can still get like a good lean source protein, you know, and like a good form of carb.
Yeah, no mate, Chester's unreal. If you get a family feast,
pro tip for some UK guys, there will be some places like that in the US as well. 100%.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A maybe.
Never had it.
Neither.
Terence will have. Okay, so now I think as well, being 2.5 years into the role of Physique, 2.5 years, sorry. Obviously, you've been coaching for that length of time. Now doing the podcasts. What was the actual initial reason behind the podcast, and where can you see it going?
Initial reason behind the podcast was really to have one-to-one interaction again with people. Working online is great, but I think, well, human beings were social creatures, you know, and I sort of found myself, I went through a bit of a period where I started to maybe neglect myself a little bit more because I found myself cooped up, locked away at home in the office.
What do you mean neglect yourself, sorry?
Like, because of how much, you know, I had going on with work and just sort of isolating myself, I actually started to, you know, I'd say I'm can be quite outgoing, you know, like if you put me in a crowd of people, like when we went out for your birthday, you know, I only know a few people, but I can still like socialize with like people that I've just met for the first time.
Yeah.
But when I started to, you know, just sort of isolate myself in my office, I actually started to get a little bit of like social anxiety.
Really?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit. Just because I've not put myself in that I wasn't putting myself in that situation like, as regularly as I used to. You know, I used to teach group exercise classes, which is like a performance. You know, you stand in front of like a group of 30 people, and you've got to provide the energy and, you know, interact with people. And when I sort of like just started to work a lot more online, that was something that I really missed a lot of the time. So this was just my sort of outlet and way of meeting up with coaches, you know, spreading insight, getting valuable content, you know, for like the Instagram and stuff. And in terms of like progressing it in the future, you know, I just want to keep getting new and insightful guests on, like people outside of Physique Academy as well, because, you know, the majority of people that we've had on so far is mainly been, you know, people that we work with, like coaches. Might want to get, you know, some people that work in like the sales team or marketing, like people behind the scenes as well, so then people can actually see in terms of like the business side of things, because, you know, a lot of the people now that we're trying to work with are the high performers, the entrepreneurs, to actually see what goes into an online coaching business like this, and the, you know, things that people don't see for the business as well. And then other guests, like, you know, I've got Ben Holden coming on next week. Next month, rugby player Joshua Charlie, you know, other people that are either like in elite sport or, again, businessmen that, you know, keep themselves in good shape, that sort of thing, and just sort of expand and venture out a little bit. Yeah,
I think there's like loads of things to consider there. I think with regards to the maybe feeling like you're getting a slight social anxiety, which is crazy because you're such an outgoing person that I know of, and I think it is a case of if you don't use it, you lose it. You know,
100%,
like it's true. That's why it's important to get in front. Like, I've been guilty of it before, you know, like film yourself on Instagram Reels, like talking. When I don't do that for a while, it becomes harder to do. Whereas when you do it consistently, it becomes so much easier. It's like second nature.
And you do overthink it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You overthink it so much. And again, it's just repetition. You know, the more you put yourself out there and outside of your comfort zone. Like when I first started teaching Blaze, which was like the boutique group exercise class at David Lloyd, I wasn't good on the mic, or, you know, again, good at that. I was like outgoing enough, but I still had a little bit of shyness in me, I think. But because I sort of just continuously kept showing up and putting myself outside of my comfort zone, it just you know, it got better, you know, and I just became more at home, you know, in that sort of environment.
Yeah, like when you always start, it's just like anything, you're never going to be great at it. Mate, I completely forgot when I was like 12 years old. No, I must have been like 12, 13. I started me on YouTube when I was like 12, 13, and it came up on my profile the other day, bro. Wow. Mate. I was like so stiff. I was like talking to the camera like that.
Right, about training and stuff when you were that age?
I wasn't training in my videos.
It was definitely gaming or something.
Nah. Whoa, what does that mean? I know that's an offence.
No, I'm just saying, when you're 12, 13, like, why else would you start a YouTube channel? Because you see like KSI
it was
doing like Road to Division 1 and thought, that's a bit of me.
It wasn't that. It was they're just like drinking my sweaty grease, it was I remember the first video we did, it never got posted because I think like I don't know if I had to go to hospital or like I was severely injured. I was on a bike and there was like a massive ramp, and I flew, like I went to pedaling to fly over the ramp. It was like a massive like dirt hill, and I did it thinking I'm going to fly, but I didn't, and I just crashed on my bike and it went to the side. So I never did one after that, but it was going to be like stunts and things.
Good job. You didn't go down that path, bro. You might not be here anymore.
Yeah, don't search James Worth 09. James Worth 09 is the channel if you want to see it.
Put a link on the screen.
Yeah. But yeah, I think kind of with regards to the business as well, just kind of final point before we move into the next thing is, it is, and I say this time and time again, there's so much in the background of the business that is being done behind the scenes that so many people won't know about it, that I do think it would be cool to get those type of individuals on. Obviously it's great to get the individual side of it. I think that's awesome. I think we need to, I think we should do, but seeing people within the business that maybe you don't see or see the face of is cool, because it shows you how much goes into a huge business like Physique, because it is a huge business now, you know.
And George wanted me to think outside the box with, you know, guests that we get on, you know, and I've got a bit of a format now going forwards that, like, well, we're doing 2 a month. You know, might have one person from Physique Academy each month and then one person outside the business. You know, that would be, I think, a really great format, just so, you know, we are like getting other people's experiences, like potentially other people that have had experience in coaching, or just like their overall general structure of training. Because a lot of guys, a lot of clients that we work with will still find that, you know, insightful and things. Like, there'll definitely be stuff in there that they can relate to.
Yeah, man, I like that. So kind of moving over to that, your family and backstory. What was life like growing up? Because I noticed you did say dad was into bodybuilding. Your family, did that have an impact on your training? Yeah,
so like when I was young, you know, and I was very young, like 5, 6 years old. My dad was at the time like 19 stone, not fat, like just huge, you know, big guy, had a lot of mass, which actually like sometimes made me a bit scared of him, a bit petrified, bro. But yeah, I saw like the training that he was doing. My mum was always relatively active as well, and so being in that environment at home, you know, he had a lot of, for his own motivation, he, you know, liked to watch things like, I don't know, Rocky, stuff like that. And like, say like if my sister was hogging like the home laptop or something, because we only had like one laptop when we were growing up, and I was in like throwing like a tantrum, that was what my dad would put like Rocky 4 on. And like I would sit there for the entire film without making a sound, and then at the age of like 7, 8, I'd do like 50 push-ups and like 50 sit-ups after watching it. And then I literally watched it like every other day, and that was sort of like my introduction really into training. You know, I started training at the age of 11 just because I felt I was quite skinny, and I needed to put a bit of size on. I think a little bit of that derived from like fear as well, from again like being scared of my dad when I was like quite young. And just a few different mindsets that I was going through at a young age, and it was never consistent. Like when I was 11, 12, you know, it was just like I'd just smash chest, this round shoulders, but tight chest and no back. And then as I, you know, continued to educate myself and keep consistent with it, that's when I started. You know, when I started at David Lloyd, I would go like every single day after school, and then since then it's just been part of my life, really.
And I think now, kind of looking ahead, because I think it's always really good to look ahead. Is there anything that now you're kind of optimistic for in the future, whether that be personal aspirations, whether it be work, or I know you're obviously getting a place with your girlfriend now, Charlotte. Yeah.
Within the next like year or so, want to try and move out, get our place with Charlotte. Personal aspirations, I think, just keep, you know, on with the podcast, keep growing the podcast, and just try and get as many transformations this year as possible. You know, my first year, hit my targets. Want to try and hit targets this year.
Nice, man.
Hopefully. With the transformations, you know, I know those have actually changed a little bit recently, but just want to keep showing up, mate, doing what I can do and keep trying to grow. Just look for other avenues, other aspects that I can help, you know, within the business alongside coaching. Potentially maybe even do like my first bodybuilding physique show.
Bro, you took my question.
Was that your next question?
I was going to say, right, we're moving on to your personal goals and Ronnie Coleman era, I've called this subject. I said, what is obviously now you've gone fully into bodybuilding. I think we can agree. Obviously, I've always said you had great genetics for it anyway. I know that Tyler and Adam have been going on about it. I know you've been.
Don't shut up about it.
I know you're now best mates with Matt. He's also a bodybuilder. What's changed? What's changed? But you can overtake him now. He can't train.
I know. Yeah, mate. He's gonna. Hopefully, it's gonna be longer than 2 weeks. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't wish that on you, brother. I wouldn't wish that on you.
But yeah, man, I feel like when we were training a little bit more frequently, it was more like higher kind of style training. In terms of like the diet side of things and the training side of things, what's changed from then to now? Is it just purely eat more, recover harder, train harder? What's it all about now?
Yeah, well, I've been in a reverse diet for like 3 months.
Okay.
And the reason for that sort of me transition back into bodybuilding was just I was getting too many injuries from running. Like I had a hamstring strain, then that started to get better, so I started running again. And then I had like 1 or 2 knee niggles and stuff. And it's just like, I'd never had that before with injuries. So I just sort of resorted back to, as I was recovering from that, going back into like just a bodybuilding style of training, going on to, a bit of a bulk. So I was eating like 3,500 calories. I gained about 7 kilos in 3 months. Over summer, I'm just going to sort of maintain because I've got like a few trips, but keep up with training and then maybe do a bit of a deficit towards the back end of summer. So we shall see.
Nice, man. Well, to fair, bro, when we went to where was it? Tenerife. I was like, oh, she's looking jacked, bro. I was like, yeah, he's putting on some size on here. I was like, what about me, though? I've not seen how fast I am at the track. What me? Talk about me.
The thing is, though, like, I'd always, whether with a bulk or reverse diet, to do it leanly, like, I'd always not wanted to get too fluffy. And that's just something that you've got to sacrifice. Alex actually messaged me about it and said, it's sort of inspired him in a way to sort of commit fully to doing like a bulk, because it's like you start to see, like just a little bit of water like around your hips, and then you think, no, I'm going to go back. I need to get lean again.
It's had like client Manib, shout out to Manib if you're watching, same thing. He said what he's learned from his, because he made it very apparent that he wanted to stay lean, like very, very lean throughout the course of his gaining phase, which we did. We ended up gaining like 12 pounds, so not like a lot, maybe like 11 to 12 pounds, so not like a lot. And I would have ideally wanted to add more over a long period of time, but he wanted to kind of do a cut again. And I think he did say to me a few weeks ago that if he was to do it again now, he's kind of more just commit to the bulk, which is why we also say we want you to get leaner than you initially probably want, because the bulk, the gaining phase, if you want to gain muscle, you are going to gain a little bit of body fat. And I think that kind of moves on nicely to my next question, which is what would be the top 3 tips for a hard gainer that you would give?
Top 3 tips for a hard gainer is just eat.
Okay.
Eat. Don't worry too much about your macronutrients. Protein, calories, let your carbs and fats take care of themselves. Just eat, because genetically you're always going to be relatively lean, and if you're putting a lot of intensity into your training, you will grow. I think some people, like, you want to get bigger, might not train with enough intent. So I think intensity matters. But yeah, like really, so that was 2. The third one, just consistency with it. Okay. Consistency with it. Again, like over time you will grow. You're not going to notice it straight away, because growing or building muscle, as we know, it's much of a slower process than like losing body fat. And again, like with the phases, for guys, that's why it's more of a grey area, because people like subjectively react different to certain amounts of calories in the reverse diet, don't they? So it's universal in phase 1, 1 to 2 pounds basically for anyone. That's what you're aiming for. Whereas when you come into phase 2, when people start gaining weight, again, it's difficult to know, right, is it the right sort of weight that they're aiming to achieve? But yeah, for hard gainers, it's just a case of eating. Like, don't worry if it's sometimes not the cleanest in the world. I know typically, like with our coaching for guys coming into phase 2, it's that 80-20 approach rule. But say, for example, you know, like when I was like 16, 17, I was doing like my first proper bulk, eating like 4,000 calories. If it was like 7 o'clock in the evening, I still had like 1,500 calories to go. You best believe I'm smashing pizza.
I swear I said about clients, no excuses to eat pizza and burgers. 30 minutes later, you best believe, do not get misconstrued, I'm smashing a pizza. I'm smashing a pizza, bro.
But hard gainers, mate, different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
Because I've had it before where I've tried to, like, this is going back in the day, like 2020 and lockdown. I've tried to help people through that hard gains, and they've just not got the appetite to eat that amount of food, bro.
I get you,
because people that are naturally skinny don't eat that much food.
Yeah, no, mate, I get it. It's hard to eat a shitload of calories like that. It's the way you said pizza, mate. You could say fish and chips or Chinese, and they'll be like, but you said a pizza, which you said before. Okay, cool. With regards to training, last one on this topic. With regards to training, you're training all the people out there purely on about gaining mass, wanting to gain, maximize gains, training in the gym 6 times a week. What's your best split?
Best split, push-pull legs.
Push-pull legs.
It used to be a bro split, but now I find you just end up doing a lot of junk volume because you go to fatigue fast. If you're training with intent, like I used to just do like chest on one day, shoulders on one day, and if you're just doing chest on one day, you do like a bench press, then like an incline dumbbell press, then a chest press, then a cable fly. And then if you're doing a bro split as well, and if you're training like 6 days a week, you'd often find that you can only train really like chest once throughout the week, because if you
sorry, go on.
Sorry, you can do like chest on one day, then it's shoulders on one day, you've got to do back on one day, then you've got to do arms on one day, because you're literally splitting up your muscle groups. Whereas push-pull legs, just able to get more volume in across the week. And
there's more frequency as well. You hit
more frequency,
more frequency, which is crucial. Lastly, I kind of said already, can we expect any upcoming shows? If so, when?
Hoping next year.
Which one? Year. Is it secret or?
Secret, I'm not sure yet. I'm
secret, I don't
know. No, I have been looking at a few, but I've just not committed to one yet.
Nice.
I think I was looking at maybe like earlier in the year, but I might push it back to the back end of the year because I want to do like another proper reverse diet. I want to break the hundreds and then come back down.
Heavy that, man.
I know. Heavy stomper. That's what I'm aiming for. Heavy stomper. You'll never see me running again.
Right, quick fire Q&A to finish off with, as it's always compulsory. One coaching rule you live by?
Communicate and often.
Funniest PA trip memory so far?
Funniest. I mean, I've got a few memorable ones. I wouldn't say like the super funny, and I'm not sure I could say.
Yeah, I gotta keep PG, bro.
I'd probably say us throwing up in Tenerife is the funniest.
We had a few drinks on the plane as well.
Yeah, because we know why that was the case, bro.
We had a few drinks.
We did have a few drinks on the plane the day before leading up to it. We didn't go too crazy, but then it was just in the heat the day after. Like, I haven't really acclimatized to the heat at all.
We trained hard though. We did train hard as well.
It was a hard session, and like for that sort of stuff that I don't do like full anymore. Anyway, like I thought I was just on straight conditioning.
We were the only guy that threw up as well.
No, I think there was someone else.
I don't know. Sam said he didn't, but I think he did.
All right, so Sam, you're joining the club, brother. But I think that's one of the funniest. And then memorable, I'd probably say when we went to Ushuaia in Ibiza.
Yeah, that was the best night.
That was a very memorable moment. All the guys, we had like George kindly got that room that was like the garden, like our own space, because sometimes when you're in that environment in Ibiza, you're just like shoulder to shoulder, it's sweaty, it's hot, it's just
it was nice. It was
nice to have like our own or just that entire trip in general. It was a memorable one.
Favorite go-to Nando's?
The infamous question. I'm a double chicken wrap, bro, all day. Then I'd get Then I get red salted chips, or peri salted chips, should I say. And then probably like a garlic bread, you know. It's very like a lot of carbs, but getting a lot of protein as well. So
better than pizza.
That was when I was 16. Maybe not so much anymore. My metabolism's not as fast anymore.
Biceps or triceps?
To train?
However you want.
Biceps.
Glutes or pecs?
What a man. Oh, we're talking about a woman.
Whatever you want, bro.
Pecs.
If you could train with any athlete or celebrity, who would it be? Could train with?
Arnold.
Nice, old school. Lastly, most unusual request or message you've had from someone in your DMs inquiring about coaching?
No, I know why he's asked this. Bit of a story. So there was a guy that had booked in for a call. I'm not sure if this was last year or the year before, you know, but he booked in for a call. I reached out to him on WhatsApp, and I can't remember how the conversation exactly went, but he instantly was just like, send me a picture of your face. Like, this is a bit of a weird request, you know, for like a first time impression meeting somebody. And then all of a sudden just got bombarded with a lot of dick pics, and he was like, he wanted me to return the favor. And I was genuinely scarred, to be honest, and just didn't really get back to him. He was booking him for a coaching call, but I think he wanted something else, really, brother. Yeah,
man, we get him from time to time. But yeah, man, that's great question to wrap it up on. It's been great, brother. You know, we've gone through a lot there. I think a lot of people will take a lot from this podcast. And if you ever need me to host again, if you're ill or whatever, man,
mate. Thank you for coming down, brother, and hosting as a one-off to do this. But yeah, I mean, we'll wrap up there. The next guest we've got on is I think it's Michael. Well, I've got like a few within the next week and a half. Can't remember the order, but yeah, a few more coming up. So yeah,
awesome.
Cheers, guys.
Nice one.